The three most important challenges that are facing Baltimore and the region are, in my opinion, for Baltimore City, priority number one is public safety. Priority number two, and almost as important, is improving city schools. Project number three is developing infrastructure and jobs in Baltimore and the Baltimore region. Let me just address all three of those, and thank you for the opportunity to do this over Zoom. Obviously, we can't have a great state in Maryland if we don't have a great city. As governor, I'm committed to investing in Baltimore to make the epicenter of economic opportunities, and I will adopt an integrative approach to ensuring that Baltimore become the local focal point of our entire state. I'll address violent crime throughout the city by working alongside the local government and the community. As a former Army veteran, I will have zero tolerance for any kind of crime. I will also have zero tolerance for any kind of police misconduct. I was in the Army. I was a professional. I expect law enforcement equally to be professionals. But I am not interested at all in crime hotspots affecting the economy. And I will be extraordinarily vigorous with that. I will coordinate local, state, federal resources to target violent repeat offenders. On a regular basis, we'll work with U.S. Marshals and state troopers to enforce arrest warrants for violent offenders statewide to ensure that every person in Maryland, regardless of zip code, feels safe in their communities. I actually believe we must broaden our understanding of crime, not just in terms of the causes that lead to it, but also the impacts it creates within a community. It stalls the economic vitality of a neighborhood main street by creating trauma for children, by creating fear in our shoppers, and for everybody who is proximate to violence or crime. It's both a product of and a driver for the negative social context which exists in some neighborhoods. I will also promote community policing, treat addiction as a public health crisis by piloting a statewide pre-arrest diversion program for arrestees who suffer from addiction, and I will support returning citizens with temporary housing, job training, placement at one-stop shops. On the issue of improving Baltimore City schools, throughout my tenure as comptroller, I voted for $2.3 billion to expand and renovate schools, fought to better sustain our existing facilities and maintain them, and led efforts to teach financial literacy in high school so that all our kids can lead financially stable lives. For more than a decade, I've demanded answers and action on the absence of climate-controlled, healthy classrooms in Baltimore City and Baltimore County. Many of them have no heat. Many of them have no air conditioning. The vast majority of the classrooms that I'm concerned about are located in the region's poorest communities and neighborhoods, while modern climate-controlled schools are enjoyed by more affluent communities in Baltimore County and even in Baltimore City. After hearing stories from students, teachers, and parents about the inhumane conditions at schools without air conditioning or heat, I used my seat on the Board of Public Works to shed light on the issue. I worked with the Maryland State Chapter of the NAACP to write a joint letter to the U.S. Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division, requesting an investigation. Thanks to my advocacy, Baltimore City accelerated the installation of air conditioning units and heating units in public schools. I will continue to push for accountability and ensure that taxpayer dollars provide our children with safe and healthy classrooms that are conducive to their learning and success. It is completely and utterly unacceptable. Tens of thousands of school kids in the Baltimore region have to go home when the temperature rises. Just as I've been an education-oriented comptroller, I will be an education-oriented governor. I visited over 500 public schools across the state, frequently engage with students, teachers, and administrators on how we can improve our education system. These visits and interactions with students and teachers have made me realize that the joy of teaching and learning has completely been taken away due to a lack of an engaging curriculum, adequate resources, and post-graduation opportunities. In Baltimore City, my goal will be to make the classroom a place where students want to come to learn because they will not only enjoy the content, but they also can see how they will tangibly use the information they gain in the classroom to achieve economic opportunities. That means moving away from a dependence on standardized testing and instead centering experiential learning that ties to skill training and immediate career opportunities, both as students and upon graduation. I'll also ensure that every school has a mental health professional. Thirdly, as far as the economy, infrastructure jobs in the Baltimore region, transit in the Baltimore region, only 9% of jobs in Baltimore City are accessible by public transit in an hour or less travel. I believe we must do better for our residents than the thriving economy and good quality of life they deserve. This will be a top priority for my administration, and beyond the red line, we will seek to provide fast, safe, sustainable, and reliable transit throughout the Baltimore region. I'm dedicated to creating 100,000 family supporting jobs with pensions, healthcare, and joining a team that's bigger than just yourself. I am going to create these jobs in the industries of the future, and I'm going to have the state partner with the private sector. And finally, on the issue of the economic growth, we're going to attract young people from all over the country and retain young 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds who are here in the state already by saying that if you live, work, and pay taxes for 5 years in the state of Maryland, we will forgive your student loan. That's going to be a big attraction to these young people who we desperately need in order to win the economy of the future. We're in competition with our fellow states. We're very well placed geographically. We are going to be a wealthy state, but I intend to unify this state. I intend to unify the state around the concept of a competent government. And I will use the trust and confidence that people have in me as comptroller to have that trust and confidence in state government. And most of all, I'm going to utilize the unification and the competence to produce economic prosperity that's shared by all. I can do that. I've been your comptroller for 16 years. You've trusted me with your money. You can trust me with your money as governor. Thank you very much, Peter Franchot. Enjoyed the opportunity to speak to the Fishbowl.